It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco Nation News is presented by ROPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course. This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by ROPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Good morning, Boise State fans. How we doing? And welcome to the Pac-12 Conference. Oh, we got a show planned for you today. Johnny, I'm sure that's a headline, a phrase folks have been hoping to see for 25 years or whatever it's been. Boise State joining the Pac-12 concert. We're going 2-hour live stream today. We got Ross Dellinger in 10 minutes, broke the story for Yahoo. We got Brett McMurphy. We got Jeremiah Dicky live at 10 o'clock, but no better man I'd like to kick off the show with than our man, Johnny Ballgame. You're a Pac-12 guy. You grew up. I mean, I know it's not the same, Johnny, but Boise State, the Pac-12, oh, man, we got a show for us today. You got a show for you guys today, 3 to 6. Historic day in Boise, Idaho, man. Welcome on into Bronco Nation News Live. How you doing, man?
Yeah, you know that T-shirt I have, that old retro Pac-10 logo that I like to wear? I put that in my T-shirt rotation. Too bad it's dirty. I would have thrown that sucker on for this, and I know it looks different, and I know there's Buzzkill McGillicuddy all over the place saying, oh, it's not that big a deal. Just go away for a little bit. Let people enjoy this, and this was a dream for this fan base forever. That's been the logo you've wanted on your jersey, that patch, forever with this fan base. And now it's going to happen. Sure, it looks different, but still, obviously something Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State. You don't think they've wanted to be in this league forever too? Colorado State, all these teams. So massive news, obviously. Great work by Ross Dellinger. BJ, you're all over this. Prater, I'm sure, has been working the phones all night. Can't wait to get on the air with him. What a dream this must be for Idaho Sports Talk. 25 years running this show, always talking about that, and now it's come to fruition. Still a lot of questions, though, BJ, but heck yeah, massive news for Bronco Nation and the other three fan bases to be able to look at the Pac-12 logo on the blue, on the 30s, replacing the Mountain West logo. A lot of cool stuff coming, man. Thanks for having me on.
His name's Johnny Mallory. My name is BJ Rains. This is Bronco Nation News Live. We do it every morning at 9 a.m. here on the social media channels of Bronco Nation News. We're also streaming today on the KTIK social media channels as well. So make sure you follow us on YouTube. If you're just finding the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button there in the bottom of the screen. We'd appreciate that. Our title sponsor is ROPaint.com. ROEPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. So shout out Andy Rowe. We thank them and ROPaint.com. And of course, Western Collective, our studio sponsor. We're here in the Western Collective studios at Bronco Nation News. And again, you can check them out for all their away game watch parties. And Johnny, probably going to be a lot of Boise State fans sipping on a horseshoe golden ale today at some point from Western Collective, celebrating the news of the day. And let's go back to last night, Johnny. And again, here in about 6 minutes, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, broke the story. Going to join us live. His first interview since this news broke. We've got it here for you on BNN coming up shortly. But about 9:30 last night, Ross Dellinger sends out this article, this tweet, Johnny. There had been no rumblings of this. There had been no thought of this, no report, nothing. Ross Dellinger drops a bombshell at 9:30, and 10 hours later, this is official with the school sending it out. I mean, this just went so fast. What was your first reaction when you saw the Ross Dellinger tweet last night?
Holy shnikes! Like what? Okay. And now possibly we're in business. I had a lot of questions, obviously. And then I woke up today, checked my email, got the email from Boise State too, thinking like, wow, that was quick. It's official in 2 years too. Not all that far away. And I know that's going to be, man, a light at the end of the tunnel that can't get here quick enough, I'd imagine, for Bronco Nation. But that was kind of my overall reaction. Was like, what? Now kind of we know you can kind of connect the dots. Maybe that's why the Pac-12 and the Mountain West couldn't come to an agreement for the schedule of 2025, BJ. Now we kind of know you can connect those dots a little bit and say, okay, yeah, and now that makes a little more sense. But again, still a lot of questions. Will this have power autonomy, power status? Will the winner of this league get an auto bid to the CFP? At this point, I wouldn't imagine so. There's still more work to be done, though. What other teams are coming? Massive question I think everybody else has. Who do you want? Where do you go? And how much more lucrative is this deal going to be? How much more CFP money will this conference get versus other G5 conferences? What will the TV money look like in the media rights deal? Where are we going to watch this league? CW? Apple? Streaming? Like, there's still a lot of questions with this, but for me, if I would tell someone in Bronco Nation, look, whatever this new pack is, I think it's a better place to be in than the current Mountain West. Sadly for the Mountain West, they'll do what they can. Gloria the gangster. A tough night for her. Not truly a gangster on this one, right, BJ?
No.
What happens there too, and way down the list, me and you can nerd out about this. Like, what does basketball look like? What can basketball be with this thing? So still a lot of questions, but really big news.
Yeah, they got to go get Gonzaga for basketball. I think that would be
I'm with
awesome.
you, man.
By the way, I should have known this, but Ross was already on the Dan Patrick show this morning, so we're second fiddle to Dan Patrick, I guess, but not. No, we're excited to have Ross on in just a couple minutes. Johnny, what? I mean, you mentioned Boise State and this being a better option. I mean, when we'll get to later on who's next and that kind of stuff, who else could join them. But when you just think about Boise State, this version of the Pac-12 and what it means, you mentioned it's a better version of the Mountain West. I mean, what you're dropping the Wyomings, the San Jose's, some of the bottom feeders of the league, and you got a chance to really strengthen this and have a good, 8, 9, 10 team conference that could easily be, the top group of 5 league year in and year out. I mean, when you just think Boise State and their decision to join this. By the way, I think UNLV ultimately will join. I think that this is the Pac-12 has enough to pay for 4 exit fees. They're going to pay for a good chunk of the money for these schools to join. And now a school like UNLV is going to feel like they're so, SOL if they don't join this league that maybe they get them to pay themselves to join. I'm sure there's financial implications, but just big picture, what do you make here of Boise State and this version of the Pac-12 and why this did make sense for Boise State?
I do think if this is going to be, if it's going to be the G6 and the group of 6 now, which, probably will be, I still would like the Pac's chances of ruling over the G6 more than the Mountain West could have, right? You're trimming some of the fat bigger names. All these teams outside of, I guess, Colorado State have a pretty damn good history in football. Colorado State probably in there for other reasons. That's cool. So I think you could still be, I would expect it to be the premier G whatever conference. I mean, they might try to raid the American, get the best two teams from the AAC, and then you bury that league and you just say, okay, we really are the group of whatever now. So I like that. But also, man, you know, I do sports talk radio for a living. I try to have energy and enthusiasm and talk about fun stuff around sports. And my gosh, every year, Boise State in football is going to play Oregon State and Washington State. Regional neighbors, nice facilities, great venues, supportive fans, fans that travel, fans that are into it. I mean, you know, you get into it, BJ, with the Utah State basketball fan all season. Now we're going to see, you know, Cougar and Beaver fans with Boise State fans get after it a little bit, traveling to those games, going to those stadiums. That's what excites me. The Mountain West, bless its heart, it just doesn't pack a punch with football. Fans don't travel. I don't see a ton of passion like other conferences, even other group of 5 conferences. And I don't know why. Like basketball, the Mountain West is killer. You go to all these venues and they're packed and you don't want to go there. Other teams won't go play at those venues, right? And I look at this kind of with Oregon State, Washington State. That's not the case. Now, I also think this is better for those fan bases. It's less egg on their face. You're coming to us. We're going to kind of rule the roost here. So I think that comes into play too. It would have been easier to do this than for the Mountain West to say, no, Oregon State, Washington State, you guys got to come under our brand. They weren't interested in that. And now they're going to flip it a little bit in, big get for the Pac, huge loss for the Mountain West, and really excited for Boise State every year, BJ, and twice in basketball. Oregon State, Washington State now coming big rivals with Boise State. Going to be fun.
Well, speaking of big get, let's go right to the guest line here. Super appreciative. I know he's got a lot going on. Ross Dellinger, senior college football reporter for Yahoo Sports. We're trying some new technology here to bring him in through the phone. Ross, appreciate you joining us here in Boise on Bronco Nation News. How you doing?
Good. How are y'all?
We're doing great. Really appreciate you for jumping on. We'll get right to it, man. I know your time is limited. Just you kind of shocked the world last night with your tweet and your story, and then 10 hours later, it's official. Give us the timeline on this. How long has this been in the works, and kind of the behind the scenes on how and why and everything related to this deal?
Yeah, I think that it's been we know that this was one of the many options that they had. The Pac-12 last year when everything kind of crumbled, that one of the options Oregon State and Washington State would look at or were looking at was to pursue, a rebuild and preserve the brand. We've even talked, we've heard them talk about that publicly. And I think I would say, at least I got wind of that they were going down this road seriously 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I think that it's been building since. And these things often do happen very, very quickly. That's what happened. They kept it. They tried their best to keep it pretty quiet. They did a good job up until the final hours when it started to seep out a little bit. But this was always an option, probably behind joining the Big 12 or the ACC. And when those things, I think, became apparent that they would not happen, then they were left with this option.
Here in Boise, Idaho, obviously Boise State fans, they've been wanting this headline, Boise State to join Pac-12, for 20 years. Obviously, this is not the same version of the Pac-12, but what do you make specifically for Boise State, their kind of national brand and this move? And I know they've longed to try to get in the Big 12 or a power conference. Boise State specifically with this move to this rebuilding Pac-12, what do you make of that?
Yeah, something to really keep in mind is that the power conference moniker, right? That's a designation. It's a designation on 2 levels. You have the A5, the autonomous powers, which were voting rights given to the autonomous 5 power conferences, and that's under the NCAA umbrella. Then there's the power conferences under the college football playoff umbrella. The Pac-12 lost both designations, really. They lost the voting rights power in the NCAA as an A5, and they lost the CFP revenue distribution as a power conference. I don't necessarily expect them to get those back, to re-earn those. You never know what could happen, but I don't necessarily expect that. Could at some point they fight to get more distribution from the college football playoff than just a normal group of 5 conference? Yeah, sure. I think that's a possibility. But it's important to remember that they did lose those designations, and they would have to show enough and convince enough people to get them back.
So with Boise State, I guess they just obviously wanted to be part of this. It didn't want to be left out in the cold, and obviously the financial situation will be better than it was in the Mountain West. But how do you look at it? How, again, okay, so they're maybe not getting the A5 status back. So for Boise State, well, what do you think in terms of why this makes sense for them? And what are you hearing in terms of the TV possibility? My next question is going to be about who they might add next. But in terms of the money, the TV deals they're working with, like how much better of a conference and situation is this going to be for Boise State than the Mountain West?
Well, I think you look at the brand, the Pac-12 shield, the marketability of that, the recognition, so that's probably one when you think of factors and consideration. 2 would, as you mentioned, the TV deal, right? The selling point was that they would get a better TV deal, this group of teams, than the Mountain West, and that the distribution will be higher than around 6 million at Mountain West schools now. Maybe it's more like 8, 10, 12 million. Maybe it's more in a TV deal. So that's obviously financially enticing. So for those reasons, I think those are enough reasons. It's a world all about money, and I think this was probably mostly a money decision, especially since there's no guarantee that they would earn the A5 and kind of P4 designations back. So it's probably financials. To your other question about who's next, I think that they probably would look east. They probably would look into Texas. I think the Pac-12 wants to kind of be branded or known as the best of the rest, the best of those outside of the power leagues. And I think if you look at schools based on TV revenue, based on or TV markets, brand, all that stuff, among the group of 5, you have to kind of go east to get those programs, right? Memphis, North Texas, maybe Tulane, South Florida, UTSA, Texas State even, who plays tonight actually, and it's kind of an up-and-coming program. So I think you would look to those first, and if you can convince them to come cross-country for a few more dollars for the Pac-12 brand, then maybe you add them, and that's where it is. And you could add 2, 3, 4 of them out there that are somewhat close by. And they could become travel partners. So there's that possibility. If you can't convince those members to come back over, I think you look back westward, and you probably take a couple more from the Mountain West.
I think UNLV is the one everyone's saying, why were they not included in part of this? And is your understanding that the Pac-12 is going to pay for a large majority of the exit fees for these 4 schools? And maybe is a school like UNLV just going to be so desperate that they'll pay it themselves to join, here at some point? And what are the chances, too, if the ACC lawsuit with Florida State and Clemson, makes that fall apart, that people are saying maybe Stanford and Cal could come back? But I know their academics are a big deal with some of the, comparing to some of the Mountain West schools.
Well, I think as far as the exit penalty fee, because you have the exit fee, which is about $17 million per Mountain West school. And then, of course, you have that penalty fee tied to the Mountain West Pac-12 Scheduling Alliance, which is about $10 to $12 million per school. I would imagine that the Pac-12 will use its assets, which it has a good deal of, to pay for some of that, to offset some of those penalties and some of those fees. It's the Pac-12's responsibility to pay the penalty fee specifically. It's the school's responsibility to pay the exit fees. But maybe I would assume like the Pac-12 will help and offset some of those costs.
Yeah.
So
what about UNLV though? Why isn't UNLV?
Yeah, UNLV. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think we all have to remember there's some certain political things in each state that these schools deal with. And I think in the state of Nevada, UNLV and University of Nevada are probably tied together, or at least within the state want to be kept together by certain powerful people. And I think you have to take them both. And perhaps the Mountain West did not, or the Pac-12 did not want to take both of them.
Interesting. That's a good thought. Final thing, Ross, we appreciate your time. Ross Dellinger, senior college football reporter for Yahoo Sports. Like, what is the national, and I guess maybe it's going to be once this is all said and done, you mentioned them kind of wanting to be the best of the rest. Like, what is going to be the national perception of this this league? What's the talk already in terms of just kind of that's cute, they're trying to rebuild this? Or is this going to be seen as a formidable conference here when it's all said and done? And just what is kind of the national picture on the Pac-12 trying to stay together and rebuild this thing the best they can?
I think there's definitely some surprise, right? I think most people thought there would be a merger with the Pac-12 or some kind of merger with the Pac-12 and in the Mountain West, and that obviously didn't happen. So there's some surprise there that broke down. And maybe at some point they will learn more about why that broke down. But the bottom line is, I think the Pac-12, in order to rebuild, probably did not want to take in the bottom schools, just value-wise, of the Mountain West.
Interesting. Well, it's a big day in Boise, and I know folks are excited. I know you're busy, so we'll let you get back to it. But Ross, thank you so much for your time. Nice work breaking the story, and we'll be following your Twitter feed for the next schools, I'm sure, to join here in the near future. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep. Thanks, BJ.
There he is, Ross Dellinger. Appreciate him for jumping on and joining us. Johnny, what your takeaways from Ross Dellinger there?
Interesting point, and that kind of makes sense on maybe they wanted UNLV, but UNLV said, hey, we have to bring Nevada. Nevada, Dellinger, love you. We have to bring Nevada too. And they were like, I don't know if we want Nevada, so that's another thing. And then just for everybody that's not all that impressed with this, like, you should have done bigger. Hey, this is Boise State. We gotta dream for the stars. Like, how long do you want to keep dreaming? 25 more years? What, you want to stay in the Mountain West? What, you're going to say no thanks? You want Jeremiah Dicky to be like, you know what? Nah, we're going to hold, what is this, Cousin Eddie on Christmas vacation? Why doesn't he have a job? He's holding out for a management position. Like, is that what you want Jeremiah Dicky to do? No, we're not going to go to this new Pac. We're just going to stay in the Mountain West because we want that Big 12 invite. What? It's not how it's working, man. This is a better option than the Mountain West. Any way you slice it and dice it, and I have a feeling that, yes, it's going to be a significant more amount of television money, and you do have that dream. Like we've seen people, ACC chaos. If that happens, maybe something there, and I mean, it mentioned whatever teams happen, the fallout. You'd love to get Stanford and Cal back. SMU, they join the ACC and they don't even get any TV money. Did you see that? Like SMU and the ACC doesn't get TV money. They said, don't worry, we'll pay our own. We just want to be in your league. Well, maybe there'll be TV money for SMU in this league if they can get out and whatnot. ACC chaos, you get Dallas, Texas, and you have a best of the rest. You have a better league than you've been in. No, it's not the Big Ten. Boise State, it's not the SEC. It's never going to be, but this is pretty damn good, and it's a step in the right direction, and I'm all about it. I think this is big news, and we'll see what happens. Again, what more teams are coming? What will the status be? Will you get the CFP payouts, invites? Still a lot of questions, but huge news, bud.
We're 25 minutes into a probably 2-hour show today, so we appreciate you guys for joining us on a special edition here, Bronco Nation News Live. We've already got 481 of you watching just on YouTube alone. So if you're one of the almost 500 people watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. Make sure you're clicking that like button in the corner of the screen. Hit that subscribe button. Join our channel. Join the KTIK channel as well. We're over 1,300 live viewers, Johnny. We're approaching ball talk numbers here with the number of folks that are watching this right now. But he also mentioned going east, Johnny, and that's a little surprising to me. I mean, you talk about the Pac-12 wanting to be this West Coast kind of league, and maybe there's not enough schools out west to make it worth it. I mean, would you rather have a Memphis and South Florida than a Utah State and Air Force? I mean, I don't know what. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Memphis would pack a punch, certainly in football. They've redone the Liberty Bowl, right? Cool venue, cool town, adds another time zone. You're getting in the big noon market. If you go to Memphis, that's a big noon game, East Coast time, BJ. So you have Pac-10, Pac-8, Pac-12, whatever it's going to be, playing in more television windows, and also kind of a fresh TV deal. A lot's on the table. I mean, look what's just, gosh, in media in general, how you watch football now. There's so many different ways. Can this conference get mega creative and come up with a really cool media rights package where these teams are getting fed, and they're getting fed a lot more than other Mountain West teams and other G5 programs? And if that's the case, the separation will come naturally, right, BJ? I mean, if the new Pac teams have much more resources coming in than all the other G5 conferences, that'll be the separation. It'll take care of itself, right? And you would see this being a pretty damn good league, and who knows what the future holds of college football. Nobody does, unless you're in the Big Ten or the SEC, BJ. This is definitely a step in the right direction, and I can't stop thinking about that Pac-12 logo going to be on the blue. This is going to be really exciting for fans.
Nate Staley says, can we get the four corners back? I don't think so. I don't think Utah and Colorado, Arizona State. I don't think any teams that just left the league are going to be coming back.
No, nobody's coming back. Okay, it's not that
good league. They get some good money.
Not that cool. They're in a better situation.
What about St. Mary's with Gonzaga for basketball?
If you want the basketball partner, I'm all about it. Like, this is way out of nowhere, and you can slap me sideways, but who's an independent now? UConn? I mean, I don't think you could swing that. They probably would rather go somewhere else, and other people would want them with that basketball brand, but there's an independent. Like, you're not turning over you're turning over every single stone on this and saying, how can we get the best possible league? That's what I like about this. This is fun. You got the six pack, right? That's what I'll call it. We'll open up, not the Pac-10, not the Pac-6, the six pack. Yeah, six pack football. Like, and who is the six pack going to add? And great sports radio drama, great for BNN. That this story just falls in our lap. Yeah. BJ, the amount of news that we get in Boise, Idaho for being this town, really only having one program we all cover, is ridiculous, man. We have too much stuff going on to talk about in this town. It's been a crazy year.
A lot of comments coming in, hundreds of comments, trying to get to some of these. So appreciate all you guys there. What is your take? Someone's asking about the streaming on here. What are the TV package, Johnny? I mean, they have the deal right now with the CW, which I know a lot of people laughed at, but it's actually in a lot of homes compared to most networks. I read one article where it said ESPN probably is clamoring to get some West Coast games back, late at night. They might be interested in this. What do you make about the possibilities that, whether it be Amazon or streaming, or now you have TNT, True TV doing some of these Mountain West games, and you got the Pac-12 on CW. Like, what do you make of the options and the interest you think there'll be from some television networks and stuff?
Yeah, I know the CW. We all make fun. Okay, it's football followed by a 3-hour marathon of Charmed, right? Oh, One Tree Hill, big episode. Oh, and then we got whatever football. But everybody has the CW. Everybody has TNT, man. Like, those two, yes. And I'll be honest, I think they're kind of clean broadcasts. I've watched TNT. I've watched the CW. It feels like I'm watching Fox or ESPN. Any mess ups they have you'll see on the other major networks. Those are two big networks right there, right? And if I am a network, I'm going to want this league more than the Mountain West. So I'm going to pay more for this league than the Mountain West, right? So you're going to get more money there, and streaming options. Like, it's Lewis and Clark, BJ. It's the core of discovery. It's the expedition. I sound like Bill Walton, like the land of the unknown here. Do whatever you want as far as media rights are. Go get creative. Be streaming available. Be on the CW or TNT. Yes, ESPN might want you back. Fox, CBS. I don't think it's going to be a problem finding a way to get more TV money than the Mountain West always gets. Now, remember, Boise State fan, and they won't care. It's fine, but you don't get that TV deal that you had in the Mountain West where you get more money than everybody else every year. Yep. But it'll even out because you'll get more money, and you get annual rivalries against Oregon State and Washington State. This checks more boxes than it doesn't.
Kelton Jenkins says, so are we going to the Pac-12? Yes. I don't know where you've been the last 12 hours, Kelton, but it is official. Boise State has announced it. The Pac-12 has announced it. Boise State, one of 4 Mountain West schools joining the Pac-12. Johnny, the date of this was July 1st of 2026. A lot of times, though, it gets sticky. Like when Boise State goes to Utah State for basketball now, I mean, it's just going to get really tough, and you wonder – a lot of times they end up negotiating where it happens earlier and they don't stay the full time of this deal. Do I think that Texas and Oklahoma did stay the extra year, and they were there 2 years, I believe, before they went to the SEC. But what do you make of the 2026 timeline and whether or not this could happen, next summer instead?
I don't know. I would say let it take its course. It's fine. 2 years. And that gives you more time to negotiate everything that you need to negotiate, more time to get more teams in. I don't know. Are we going to hear about the new teams coming within the week, within the month, within the season? You'd think, right? When are we going to know who else is joining this league? So it will be, there's some friction right now because, and I get it. If you're a Utah State fan, Wyoming, you're saying, screw this, screw these guys, screw you, like you hate these guys now. Gloria Navarra's in the Mountain West office. Good people there in Denver, I believe. BJ, damn, Javen Headland, our boy, he walked into the office today and dropped an F-bomb, I'm sure. Like, what are we going to do now? So I feel for those Mountain West people. We know them. We work with them. I'm friends with some of these people, really nice people, and they've done a good job with the Mountain West. Gloria the Gangster's done a good job, and this is a big-time hit. And it's interesting because for Boise State fans, finally, they're on this side of the fence where somebody calls them and says, we want you. Every other move of conference realignment, Boise State's been left out. They've been the Utah State right now where they get to see BYU and all these other teams get Utah and TCU, and they were beating them. And they're like, well, they get to go. Where's our invite? Now you have your invite. Now you can say this like, yes, it's the Pac-12, but really is it? Maybe it's like going and seeing the group Kansas at the Idaho State Fair. Yes, it's Kansas, but only the original drummer is still in the band. So it's kind of Kansas, right? I saw Alice in Chains once after Lane Staley died. Was I really watching an Alice in Chains concert? The lead singer's dead? So it's kind of like that, but it's still, in my opinion, better than where you were.
I saw somebody say it's like finally getting that date with your high school sweetheart, but now she's 65.
And with 3 kids, a mortgage, debt, and all that stuff. Yes. I guess that would be a fun analogy as well.
Hey, we got Jeremiah Dicky coming up in about a half an hour, 10 a.m. live here on Bronco Nation News, the athletic director at Boise State. Jeremiah Dicky is going to join us at 10 o'clock, so stay tuned for that. We got Mike Prater coming on at 10:15. And then Brett McMurphy from the Action Network, he's got some details on this, is going to join us at 10:30. Johnny, we got you for about 15 more minutes or so. We appreciate your time and jumping on in all of this. If you have a question or a comment for Johnny, for myself, get it there in the ICCU YouTube chat. We got over 1,500 of you watching right now. So again, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel on Bronco Nation News. It's just youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It only takes a couple seconds. and really would help us out. I do want to thank a couple of our sponsors that make this show possible and free for you to watch. Western Collective, our studio sponsor, the Horseshoe Golden Ale. Make sure you go check out Western Collective, their beer, the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer in the country that supports an NIL collective. A portion of the proceeds go to benefit the student athletes at Boise State through the Horseshoe Collective. It's available at their locations in Garden City, downtown Boise, and then obviously at most major retailers as well. Check out the Horseshoe Golden Ale and our friends at Western Collective. Our title sponsor is ROPaint.com, ROE Paint.com. Check them out. They got those concrete coatings, interior, exterior residential painting. If you own a business, they can do commercial, industrial work as well. All your painting needs, and our title sponsor, make sure you check out the official paint and coatings company at Boise State Athletics, ROPaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. They got a deal with Tyson Degenhart. They sponsor the Tyson Degenhart Show, and they're big sponsors of BNN as well. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, maybe you like your bank, you're fine. I promise you, if you make the switch, you'll like it even better and wish you'd make the switch earlier like the Raines family did. ICCU.com. Check them out. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but their app is the easiest app to use, the mobile eBranch online banking. So highly recommend making the switch today to Idaho Central Credit Union. Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher. We bought and sold our home with Matt and his team, and super appreciative, and the process was so easy, and I found out firsthand just why Matt is the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. So BauscherRealEstate.com. Give him a call, 243-8222. The best in the business is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. You're looking for a hometown grocer? They got the Cuno location. They got Star all around the Treasure Valley, the Magic Valley, all around the state of Idaho, the surrounding states. Ridley's Family Markets. Download their Skip app in the App Store on your phone. You get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Again, support the sponsors, folks. ShopRidleys.com. And if you're looking for a new spa for the back patio, maybe a pool table for the game room, you need to go check out Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game, thespateam.com. Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. And again, they got you out there for that hot spring spa like the Raines family has in our back patio. Or if you need the billiards table, the game room, for the game room, the pool table, they can help you out with that as well. Check them out online. View that full inventory of vehicle of things that they can offer for you at thespateam.com. All right, Johnny. So again, the comments are rolling in. 29 new ones already. Call it the Pack 6 for now. Let's see. Sell 6 packs of beer with all the schools from local breweries. I would buy some.
That's sweet.
What do you, what did you make of the UNLV and the Nevada thing? I know you touched on that, but if the Mountain West does need, I guess we can go ahead and bring this up. I mean, where does the Mountain West go from here? Because I still think UNLV makes sense in this league. I'm not sure if Air Force or somebody else does. I don't know what happens, but I mean, is this the end of the Mountain West? Do all these schools scatter? I saw Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports saying one of the options is that all these schools just, fend for themselves and scatter to other conferences and the Mountain West is done. Or does the Mountain West try to rebuild with your Idaho Vandals and some other schools out there? What happens to the Mountain West, you think, here?
I hope it survives. I think it'll circle the wagons and hopefully recover like the old WAC used to. The old WAC used to just kind of get everybody's leftovers. And at the end of the day, they still hung around, But as far as where the Mountain West goes, I mean, do you try to dip into the FCS? I mean, do you try to get the Montanas? I mean, I'll throw out Idaho, right? I mean, they've played with maybe that's the jump that they want to make, a North Dakota State, something like that. You explore that because you're probably going to lose. Like right now, you're down to 8 teams in the Mountain West, including Hawaii as a football-only member. I believe you're down to 7 teams for basketball. Correct me if I'm wrong. You need to do something. Or, you fizzle out and say, we can't do anything, and I don't know what that would mean for those football programs, independence or something really lame. So I hope that doesn't happen. I still want the Mountain West to find a way to be better than the MAC, to be up there to be better than Conference USA, something like that. I mean, does the Mountain West try to get nuts and go after the Tulane and the other AAC teams or the military academies and match them with Air Force? Maybe that is a possibility. Maybe you go to the Big Sky, like I said, and you still try to recover. Hopefully you get about the same type of TV deal, maybe even more because the times are changing and everything's more expensive. I hope the Mountain West recovers. You got some pretty good basketball programs in there. I mean,
that's what I was going to say. I mean, you feel terrible for the, Jeff Grammers of the world in New Mexico and Richard Pitino and all their fans and Steve Alford at Nevada and
Chris Murray, Nevada.
You talk about this. It is crazy. Kurt Blake says, I feel sorry for Gloria. I know you mentioned that earlier, but like some of these schools, these fan bases, like I know some fans are enjoying their victory lap here in the chat and laughing and saying, whatever to all these other schools that they're leaving behind. But I mean, this is a big deal, and this means a lot to a lot of people, and they are getting left behind. And I don't think that, you can celebrate if you're a Boise State fan, you can be happy, but I don't think you need to be, rubbing this in the face of New Mexico fan, because this is obviously
don't dance on their grave.
Pretty tough day for
on their grave, because you know what? How many times has Boise State fan been in that position? Every other time they've had conference realignment where Boise State wanted the invite and they didn't get it. Now they get it to, a very watered down version of the Pac-12, albeit still better, in my opinion, than what the Mountain West would bring to table in football. And just the name branding alone of that conference is bigger than the Mountain West. It is. I think television networks will realize that the Pac will drive more than the Mountain West, BJ. So we'll see what the Mountain West does, but I think they're going to get a team or two taken away. Then all of a sudden they have to find other teams. Now, does the Mountain West, would they rather raid Conference USA or other G5 conferences possibly, or go to FCS, get the best from the Missouri Valley in football, some of the Dakotas, try to get Idaho. Idaho already has a relationship with a lot of these programs and beats a lot of these programs. The Montana schools would absolutely, in my opinion, hang in this new Mountain West conference. Their fans are supportive too. This conference is going to need supportive fan bases and maybe people that are excited about it. I know the folks at the FCS level would probably be excited about the chance to play group of 5 football. And then maybe you get that bid to the tournament one year, that the Mountain West will get that bid, but the Mountain West hasn't got that bid for 10 years in this current setting. So I don't know what they're going to do moving forward, but I hope they do something, BJ. Sure. I like the Mountain West. I like Gloria. I like Javen. Those are good people. And I'm hoping that they find a way to recover, but it'll never be the same again.
If I was going to say, hey, the Mountain West, four Mountain West schools are going to the Pac-12, which 4 would you have said it was? And what do you make of Fresno State? I know they make a big deal about their TV market and stuff, but I mean, Fresno State, was it a slam dunk for you that they need to be a part of the 4 here?
Not as slam of a dunk. It wasn't like Vince Carter in the 2000 dunk contest, BJ. It wasn't that, as is like San Diego State and Boise State were for me on that. Just national recognition and, football program. I know TV money and they'll get into that and that will hurt them. But if we're talking football, hell yes, I want Fresno in this league. Fresno beats teams it shouldn't. Fresno is good no matter who coaches it. They've recovered. They have a passionate fan base that gets into it. So, yeah, I'm happy Fresno's in this league. San Diego State, maybe this will help them get more people in that stadium. Colorado State does bring the particulars. They spend more money in football than any other Mountain West team. They're committed. They want to matter. They haven't figured out how. So Colorado State brings a lot of cool stuff to the table. And then you get into UNLV, obviously does. And we'll see maybe what the Mountain West can do to keep a UNLV, if it can. I mean, right now, you look at the Mountain West and, UNLV for football, I can't believe I'm saying it. UNLV football, they're hanging their hat on moving forward. Wow. Good luck, Barry. Good luck keeping Barry Odom in that league, by the way.
Tell me if I'm crazy here, Johnny. So if the Pac-12 is going to pay the exit fees to get Boise State and San Diego State to go, like if you're one of the other Mountain West schools, like if you're UNLV right now, aren't you very scared? Like what's going to happen to us? And if you're UNLV, aren't you now desperate to try to get in this new Pac-12? And so maybe they know that these schools are now desperate to get in and that they don't have to pay their exit fee. And maybe UNLV has some money and says, hey, we'll pay the $18 million to the league. We'll pay the $10 million to get out of the deal or whatever. Just let us in. Maybe this is a play by the Pac-12 where they know they know a UNLV is going to be desperate and they don't have to pay for them to come in if they don't have to.
That makes sense. Maybe you would have thought Colorado State would have been more desperate than UNLV, and you should have invited UNLV thinking Colorado State, you want in this league? Open up your damn checkbook.
Take Boise State, San Diego State, and just start there and make everybody else, beg.
And make everybody else pay. Maybe, BJ, maybe they didn't want UNLV. Maybe UNLV is not in the cards for this. I don't know why. It does make sense.
Or the Nevada thing that Ross brought up as well, maybe being tied to Nevada.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense that they are tied within their state to Nevada, and the Pac's like, no, you can't. You can't bring your friend. No, sorry, no, you can't bring any guys into this party. No, sorry, dude. No friends allowed. That type of thing. Maybe it's one of those deals, and UNLV's got to figure out with its legislature or whatever how they can break the tie that binds them at some point. It's not like they still wouldn't play basketball. These teams are still going to play. It'll be a similar relationship, in my opinion, to the old WAC in the Mountain West. Those teams all played. They beat each other, but the Mountain West was considered the better league. I hope that's what we have moving forward, man.
Final thing or two for John Mallory here. You'll hear him at 3:00 coming up. Idaho Sports Talk. They'll be all over this. Him and Prater and JP and Bob, 3 to 6. They'll have audio from the press conference. I know Jeremiah Dicky is going to join you guys live as well. And again, he's coming up here in 15 minutes live, the Boise State athletic director in 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. But what do you think when Jeremiah Dicky made the call, and maybe it wasn't until last night, or whenever, but when Jeremiah Dicky made the call to Spencer Danielson and to Leon Rice and Gordy Presnell and some of these prominent head coaches, when they first got word of this from Jeremiah Dicky, we're going to the Pac-12. What do you think the initial reaction was from Spencer and Leon here?
Plan the work the plan. What's next? Everything counts. Everything matters. I mean, your typical Jeremiah Dicky bingo card. Yeah, I think all of that was said. And I think it's, okay, let's go. Let's go to work. You don't think Jeremiah Dicky now with a donor can get that extra zero on that chickadee check, BJ? You don't think this raises that a little bit? Of course it does. So you have that going. And I think those coaches are fired up. I'd rather be a fly on the wall for Jeremiah Howe when he broke the news to the Mountain West and Gloria. We've gotten close with Gloria Navarez, BJ. She does a wonderful job. And this is a massive hit for the Mountain West. And I don't think there's anything there's nothing she can do about it. It's happening. It's already done. They've accepted the invitation. I'm sure Jeremiah started with this. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's business, period. And this is a business move. Add this to Jeremiah Dicky's, when he goes into the Boise State Hall of Fame. And by the way, now he is in my book. Dicky is a future Hall of Famer at this school, but his plaque under his accomplishments, spearheaded the charge, led the move into the Pac. I mean, this is just another move that Jeremiah Dicky has been able to do and get done. A lot of other athletic directors wanted to move this program into a different league. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. Jeremiah Dicky got it done. And it's going to be weird because you got to wait till the 2026 football season now.
Well, we'll see on that. We'll see on that. I don't know. Final thing, Johnny, before I let you go, just kind of wrap this up, man. And again, we got Jeremiah Dicky coming up in 13 minutes. Don't go anywhere, but we got to let Johnny go here in a second. Johnny, your final thoughts on this, the questions you still have. You've had 47 minutes here to kind of talk it out and process this. Just Boise State, the Pac-12, your final thoughts.
Well, I still have the same questions, and I can't wait to ask them. And Ross Dellinger did a pretty good job describing them. Will it have power status? I imagine no way, but how can they maybe work towards that where they get their champion an automatic invite into whatever the tournament looks like in 2026? Because remember, the tournament will look different in 2026. Maybe they add teams, and this helps the new Pac. What other teams are coming is the second big question. What exactly is this conference going to look like? And then lastly, media rights, baby. Where are we going to see this league? CW, TNT, ESPN, Fox, CBS, Apple, Netflix, Max, I don't know, True TV. Where are we going to see it and how much money is going to come there? So 3 big questions. By the way, BJ, Prater and I will also have live Spencer Danielson today. So between BNN and KTIK, You guys are going to get all the coverage you're going to want on massive news here in Boise.
There you go. Spencer Danielson live. Don't miss that 3 to 6. Johnny, appreciate your time, man. We'll let you get ready for the show. We'll see you at the press conference. I believe 1:30 will be a press conference down at Boise State, and packed day, and it's going to be awesome. So, Johnny, appreciate your time as always, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, BJ.
There he is, John Mallory, again, coming up in about 10 minutes live. We're going to have the athletic director at Boise State coming up live here in about 10 minutes, Jeremiah Dicky. So we'll get to some of your comments. We'll get to some of your thoughts. I know looks like a couple of you guys have commented on the YouTube ads on here. That's just how it works, guys. When there's more viewers on here, the algorithm sometimes plays more YouTube ads. So apologize, but it means that BNN makes a couple extra cents. So wait your 5 seconds and click skip ad, and it is what it is. So you're watching a free show. You can wait 10 seconds to watch a YouTube ad and click skip. So I'm sorry, but I'm not really sorry about that, to be honest. Again, Chris Kostis, you guys, sorry. Just wait your 5-10 seconds and hit skip. It is what it is. This is a free show you're watching, and we got to make a little money. So that's just the business model. If you don't like it, feel free to X out of the video and stop watching. It's you're not forced to watch the show. So we got a lot of other comments and questions coming in here. Again, big news. And the crazy part is just how this came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm at my kid's baseball game last night. I'm at home having a Diet Dr. Pepper and just kind of talking to my kids and my wife. We're getting ready to get the kids ready for bed. And I get a call from Mike Sanford Jr. of all people. Mike Sanford saying, hey, man, you see the news? What do you think? I'm like, what are you talking about? And when he said, did you see the news? I mean, I would have probably had 10 guesses before I thought, they're going to a different conference. Like I never would have thought that was what they were going to be doing. So it shocked me last night. And again, the fact that it's going to be 2 years from now is kind of I got to wait 2 years to see what happens here with all of this. But I think this is big news, and the big part for me was how quickly this thing really developed here. I mean, you talk about a situation where the first report of this came out last night about 9:30, and next thing you know, it's official at 7 a.m. I mean, you think about how many people had to be involved in this and how quiet this was kept. And if you're the Mountain West, and it sounds like they really didn't know much about this leading in, man, I think this is crazy. I mean, to think about how fast this happened, how quickly this, usually it breaks out and it's maybe a day or two, but for 10 hours later, this to be 100%, official, and the schools had the presses releases done. And I said this again, I'm not tooting my own horn, whatever, but I think a lot of other people said it too. Once the deal was not renewed with the Mountain West and the Pac-12 for the scheduling, I think right away a lot of people thought, okay, this means they're going to try to poach some teams and rebuild the league. They don't want to wait another year. And I think that if you thought that as I did, you were right on the money, because as soon as they could not come to an agreement on that, I think it was like, all right, why would we pay the Mountain West, and go in their conference for these games? Why don't we just start our own league and make more money? And so I'll be fascinated to see the TV package. What does that look like? Are we talking ESPN? Are we talking big time, from that standpoint, big time networks? Is this going to be Amazon? Is it going to be, CW type, TNT? Do the Foxes, CBS Sports Networks, ESPNs want to be involved in this? Certainly this is something that is going to have to be figured out. Somebody's asking about the non-conference schedules. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this gets thrown out the window now. I mean, a lot of these games are set. We'll see what it means moving forward here. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to figure out here now. And, a lot of things are on the table. A lot of things are on the table. I still think UNLV makes a lot of sense for this league. I just do. I think it makes way too much sense for UNLV to not be part of this. To be part of this. I mean, I we'll see what happens. I mean, if you go out and have a Hail Mary and get Cal and Stanford and SMU to all, join, well, then maybe you don't need UNLV. If the UNLV Nevada thing is real, do you take Nevada to get UNLV? Probably not. I don't know. But I really do feel for the New Mexicos, my friend Jeff Grammer covering New Mexico, what this means for him and the future of, Nevada, New Mexico, and whether it be the folks up in Laramie, Wyoming, and Utah State and Logan. And I know it's a rivalry with some of these schools and you guys like to get after them and stuff, but this isn't really the time to be laughing at them. And this is a tough day for them. You guys remember the feeling when you've gotten passed over numerous times. And now to not only get passed over, but to get passed over and see the league that you're in really crumbling. I mean, the future is in doubt for a lot of these schools. And so, I mean, I already saw some Wyoming folks saying, is it time to drop down to FCS? I mean, is Wyoming, an FCS candidate or any of these schools? I think that certainly there's a lot on the table for a lot of these schools. And Ray, you know what? Sure, I do like going to Vegas. I won't deny that. Yeah. Put UNLV in the league so I can go to Vegas. Keep Hawaii in the league so I can go to Hawaii. And I'm certainly glad San Diego State's in the league to get, a couple trips a year, hopefully to San Diego. So, yeah, I think that's all what it really matters about is, where the media gets to travel to. I do think going east is certainly intriguing. The Memphis situation, I think that Memphis would be a big addition. Do you really want to go all the way to South Florida? You get the Tampa market. I get it. But is this league, big enough, good enough that you really want to go coast to coast? I mean, you would get in 3 time zones potentially if you can add a Memphis. I think they're still in Central Time Zone. If you get a South Florida, you get the Eastern Time Zone. You could have 4 time zones, I guess, with Mountain and Pacific. And so if you can get in all 4 time zones, certainly that would do some things for the TV windows, for various networks and things to have more options. I don't know if South Florida really brings enough to where you want to have your teams in California flying all the way to Florida for a conference game. I mean, if it's for the ACC or the SEC or something, maybe you do that for the money, but is the money really going to be that much bigger that makes sense for the for this new league that, we'll see. Don Day says the Pac-6 actually being regional is a big advantage when weighed against the sprawling coast-to-coast conferences. And I do think that's a big deal to them. And that's why I think that in a perfect world, they would love to get Stanford and Cal. I just don't know Stanford in particular. I just don't know with the academic concerns, I guess you could say, that they have with a Boise State and with a Fresno or some of these schools. Like, would that ever work? Everyone has said no. Everyone has said that a Stanford and Cal would never be in the same league as Fresno State. No one's told me that. You just hear all the reports and see everything. And, is that changed? Is there anything? Does Cal and Stanford realize they made a mistake and they'd rather stay and play local teams than play in the ACC? And if that means having Fresno in their league, then they'll do it. I don't know. I think you have a lot of options when it comes to that. And certainly, multiple scenarios are in play here. I think that's probably a long shot at this point. I mean, that would be the top scenario, I think. If you can get Stanford and Cal and have 4 original, Pac-12 members back in the league, I think that would be huge. I don't know if that happens. If you have to go outside of UNLV, but you have to stay in the Mountain West, where would you guys go? If you had to add one more Mountain West school other than UNLV, so say you take UNLV and you have to add one more, where are you going? Are you going Air Force? Is Air Force probably that next school? Does Utah State bring something? Nevada. I mean, I don't think it's San Jose. I don't think it's Wyoming. I don't think it's New Mexico. I mean, no disrespect to these programs. But I would think it's probably Air Force if you had to ask somebody, if you had to go further than UNLV, they at least have kind of a national brand. But I think that Air Force makes some sense now for the AAC. Air Force could get into the same conference as both Navy and Army. I think that makes some sense there. I think Utah State certainly could make a little bit of sense. UNLV and Memphis, that would get you 8. I think that would be a nice 8 there. Air Force, I know, has some challenges with no NIL money and some of that stuff. And they, are always going to be a team that probably struggles in basketball and have trouble, really in football being they've had some nice seasons, but it's just so hard now with the NIL and the transfer portal. You do wonder long-term about the success that Air Force could have. But in terms of name programs and programs that might get you views and, TV revenue dollars, Air Force is probably more valuable than most of the other schools in the league. I don't know. So I want to get ready for our Jeremiah Dicky interview here in just a couple of minutes. We do have a couple other sponsors that we want to thank. Again, Jeremiah Dicky, Boise State Athletic Director, coming up in just a matter of moments as we continue our live coverage here at Boise State going to the Pac-12, a special edition from the Western Collective Studios here. Again, our title sponsor is ROPaint.com. But our fall kickoff sale is going on at Lithia Ford of Boise, and I told you about it, but Friday Friday, if you're in the area, 11 to 6, head over to Bora High School, test drive a vehicle. They'll have about 30 vehicles over at Bora High School. Test drive a vehicle, and $20 goes to Bora High School. No strings attached. Test drive a vehicle. Check it out. And $20, Lithia Ford and Ford will donate $20 up to $6,000 to Bora High School. So go on over there on Friday from 11 to 6 and help them out. If you're looking for a job, how about Taco Bell? TacoBellWorks.com, SON Management, the Nicolason family. TacoBellWorks.com. They're hiring, and if you're looking for a job, I highly recommend it. They got great promotional opportunities, free food while you work, get up to half your pay the day after your shift. Check them out. Apply for a job online, TacoBellWorks.com. And, hey, the food is darn good as well. So you're looking for a nice, fun, quick, easy meal, delicious food for the family, check out our friends at one of the Treasure Valley locally owned Taco Bell locations. Speaking of jobs, Transportation Compliance Services hiring. Check them out, transcompservice.com. Check them out. They are the best in the business if you're looking to get into the trucking industry. And, again, they can help you with all the permits and things that you need. Transcompservice.com. Check them out, transcompservice.com, and they can help you get on the open road, towing that first load in no time. You need some Boise State gear? Check them out, theblueandorangestore.com. Again, all your hats, jerseys, bumper stickers, car flags, all that good stuff. If you need Boise State gear, make sure you check out theblueandorangestore.com, the home opener next Saturday against Portland State. Get your game day t-shirt, all that good stuff. Make sure you check them out at the Blue and Orange Store and theblueandorangestore.com. Our friends over at Jackson's, by the way, Ahmed Hassanin got that sack. Hope he took advantage of that 91-cent coffee or fountain drink. Jackson's helped you out, and so did Ahmed Hassanin. So every Monday after he gets a sack, you get 91-cent coffee or fountain drink at Jackson's. So check them out, and don't forget, 25 cents from every hot dog sold in the Treasure Valley goes to support the Horseshoe Collective and putting money back in the pockets of the student athletes here at Boise State. So check them out, Jackson's. They're a proud supporter of Boise State and, of course, Bronco Nation News. And don't forget about Lean Feast. Had a Lean Feast for dinner last night. 10,000-plus combinations. They got deals, NIL deals with some football players, basketball players. They provide meals for both teams. Check them out, leanfeastmeridian.com. 10,000-plus combinations, and now they deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley, so no excuse to not eat healthy, and they deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley. We appreciate our friends over at Lean Feast. All right, the comments continue to roll in. We got almost 2,000 of you watching live. We're setting records here on Bronco Nation News. We appreciate all you guys that have found our channel, found our various social media platforms where we are streaming live. And again, we're going to have Brett McMurphy from the Action Network joining us at 10:30. We're going to have Mike Prater at 10:15 jumping on as well. So we're guest heavy here in hour number 2 as we continue to talk about the big news of the day. Boise State heading to the Pac-12 Conference. They're one of 4 new schools, along with San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State. They're going to join Oregon State and Washington State. So 6 for now. And the questions obviously turn to a phrase familiar around here, what's next in terms of the future schools, the TV revenue, the deal, a ton of questions, a ton of things going on. And certainly this is, really come out of nowhere. We talked about it. You look at last night at 9:00, the first report came from Ross Dellinger, who joined our show earlier, and then within 10 hours it was officially announced by the schools as a done deal. So this is big news, and I know folks, like, you wanted this 20 years ago. Like when you see that headline, Boise State to join Pac-12, like maybe it would have sounded a little better 20 years ago with the teams that are in the Pac-12. But this is still a really historic day, a really cool day for Boise State. And certainly, we'll wait to see who else joins this league. But I think for when you're comparing, the Mountain West and what it's going to be to this league, certainly a step up. And certainly the history and the tradition, the 100+ years of the Pac-12. And to have that logo on the blue, here in a couple of years, I think it's really cool and a really big deal to be associated with the Pac-12 Conference. So I know some folks out there will try to, poo-poo this, so to speak, and just say, hey, it's this ain't the Pac-12 of old. I get it. No doubt. Sure. But it is an upgrade. It's a big deal. And I think if, they can add the right schools and the right TV package and the right thing, they could really make this a premier conference. Can it get back to the Power 5, auto status? I don't know. Certainly, Nate Staley says Conference of Champions. This is going to be better news than it looks right now. Let's see what else we got here. Thanks for the long show. Appreciate it. Like the video and subscribe. Yeah, if you can, we would love a little like there on the YouTube video. If you could subscribe as well, that would be awesome. We'd appreciate you joining our channel. We're over 2,026 now live viewers here, including almost 600 of you on YouTube. This is a record, I believe, maybe close to when Spencer Danielson was hired, but 600 of you watching on YouTube alone as we wait for Jeremiah Dicky to join us here in a minute, the athletic director at Boise State. So while you're waiting for him to join, hit that subscribe button on our channel, hit that like button. I don't know how it all works, but I know the algorithms and things, the more likes we get, the higher we show up in searches and things like that. So we would certainly like to make that happen. So again, it's always, this is great, but what's the next move here? Does this actually wait till 2026? Does this, is this get sticky and the Mountain West says just leave early? And do they start this thing in 2025? There's a lot of things here that are in play. And again, Tequila Gus, I agree with you. I mean, not with the Reno part, but you said feel bad for the rest of the Mountain West. I really do. This is a tough situation for fans at Wyoming, fans at New Mexico. A lot of these schools that have probably been dreading this day for a long time, where the Boise States and San Diego States of the world that are carrying the conference leave, and the rest of them are left. And you wonder now, like, all these schools that complained about Boise State getting extra TV revenue and extra perks, for being in the league, like, would New Mexico and Wyoming add another $1 million to Boise State's check now to keep them in the league and keep the league together? Like, sure they would. So this is why Boise State got the extra deals. They were, they were the cream of the crop, and they were the reason that a lot of the school, this league was staying in there together. So I mean, it is what it is. But you can obviously tell that San Diego State, Boise State, a couple of these schools were the premier teams in the league. And now you have, other schools that are realizing that. And so you do feel bad for New Mexico and Wyoming. And I know Jeremiah Dicky said that in his statement. They're going to be, good partners until the final day. And I'm sure you'll still play some of those schools in non-conference games and things out west. But there's just a lot of layers to this. And certainly it's tough news for the Mountain West and the remaining schools. We got somebody watching from Singapore. We appreciate you. So folks, 2,000 plus of you watching from all over the world, including Singapore. So we appreciate you for chiming in as well. And again, we are awaiting Jeremiah Dicky. I believe he's finishing up a meeting or another interview and is going to be jumping on here very shortly. I'm curious to hear, a lot of questions still. I'm not sure what Jeremiah is going to tell us now, but in terms of the exit fees, who is paying that? Is the Pac-12 going to say we're covering the entire exit fee to get you to join? Are they saying, hey, we're going to help you pay half? Like, who's paying for what? I'm very curious to that. Again, what's the timeline to add new schools? I really want to know how long this has been in the works. I mean, did this just pop up here recently once, once the deal fell through with the Mountain West? Has this been secretly in the works for months? A lot of questions on the timeline of this, a lot of questions on, again, what happens here in terms of, I'm sure that the Pac-12 and those two schools had to put quite the presentation in front of Boise State and these schools. And so I'm very curious to see what that was and a lot of questions. And we'll get to those questions in 25 seconds. Boise State Athletic Director Jeremiah Dicky is going to join us after a quick thank you from our sponsors.
Bronco Nation News is presented by ROPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.
All right, we're continuing our hour-long plus, probably shooting for 2-hour show. We've already had Ross Dellinger on from Yahoo Sports. John Mallory has joined us. We got Brett McMurphy, Mike Prater still to come, but pleased to be joined now by the athletic director at Boise State University, Jeremiah Dicky, joining us live. Big day for Boise State, big day for you. We appreciate you jumping on, Jeremiah. How you doing?
Thanks, BJ. Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a week that's blown by, and obviously excited for this morning's announcement, and it's always what's next.
What, I guess, just fill us in on the timeline of this. How long has this been in the works? How did this come about? A lot of us thought maybe when the Pac-12 didn't renew their TV deal that this was kind of the start of this, but I mean, I don't know how you guys kept this so quiet for how many people that had to have known about this to not come out till 9 p.m. last night. And then by 7 a.m. today, it's official. Kudos to everybody involved at the 4 schools for keeping this quiet. But how long has this been in the works? Maybe just give us the backstory on this.
Yeah, I think we always knew that this was a potential option, BJ, especially as the Pac went through some of the struggles of teams leaving. And, this is college athletics. You have to have your head on a swivel and sometimes it's about making something happen and not waiting for it to happen. And, really grateful for the opportunity, the conversations that have taken place. I can't tell you that as of the end of last week or early this week that I thought it would happen as quickly as it did. But I think that's just how these things come together, and really appreciate the Mountain West 3, us being 4, and those athletic directors and the Pac-12. We're really excited, and this creates a lot of opportunity for us as we head into the future. And like I said, it's always what's next.
I know it's kind of an obvious answer here in some regards, but what was the selling point? What was the Pac-12 and those 2 schools? What was their pitch to you guys, and why was this the right time for you guys to make this move?
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever a right time. Ultimately our industry is changing, and we're going to play the hand to the best of our ability. And that's been my commitment to Bronco Nation. That's been my commitment to this institution and to my team and our student athletes. And, ultimately, if I feel like we can better our position, when you look at the next 5 years of college athletics and how much it's changing and the change that is yet to take place, but is coming, I felt like this was going to best position us for competitive excellence and revenue generation in the future. And that's important to me because it allows me to reinvest back into this department, into this institution, and into this community. And, so, it was top of mind, way back when. I think for Boise State, we've always had this aspiration and ambition of potentially getting into the Pac-12. I understand the Pac-12 is not the same today as it was. But that doesn't mean that we're any less excited and pumped for what's next. We have, a foundational group of 6 schools that is like-minded, is innovative, and aligns with let's do epic and let's create something that has value, that is going to allow us to compete at a very high level for many years to come. And that's always going to be my goal. And I feel like we accomplished that with today's announcement.
We got 2,000 plus people watching this live. We're setting records here on Bronco Nation News. Someone just chimed in. They're watching from Singapore. So, they're watching from all over the world here. And you got Boise State fans, college football fans fired up about this. The comments for you are rolling in. This guy says, give JD a coffee. There you go. You got the coffee right on cue. He says the eyes are almost closed. And Nate says, congratulations. You're a Pac-12 AD now, JD. What was that call like to Spencer Danielson and Leon Rice? And I don't know if they found out before the Yahoo report came out or what, but just what this means for the department, for these coaches, for these student athletes, to have the Pac-12 logo on the blue and on the court at Extra Mile Arena. I know you said it's not the same. No one's going to deny that, but it is the Pac-12. It's got over 100 years of history, and just what was the excitement level for the coaches and student athletes?
Yeah, From our coaches' standpoint, I've heard nothing but positive feedback. When you look at the schools that are currently in, and obviously we have to add other schools, it's in our recruiting territory. It's in our region. We have a lot of Broncos in those communities and states. We have a lot of their fans in our states, in terms of the growth that we've had. So I think our coaches recognize that, I can't do this alone, and it takes a team. And when you think about Spencer and Gordy and Leon and Justin and insert coach Jim and Sean and Tina, Kaylin, trainer, I could go down the list, and I maybe just did. I'm trying to think who I missed now. Allison, they're locked arms with me, and there's an inherent trust that comes with being the leader of a department. I'm not saying there aren't questions and maybe even questions I don't even have the answer for yet, because there's still a lot of moving pieces to this. But there is an inherent trust in our department, and that's part of our culture. And I think they understand that I'm always going to do what I feel is in the best interest of us, not of me. My goal was never to be an AD in the Pac-12. So I appreciate that comment, but that's my goal is to be AD here. And I love being a Bronco, and I love this community, and they're going to get 100% of me in terms of bettering our situation. And our coaches feel that. And they were extremely excited for how it's going to impact them in recruiting and competitiveness and ultimately the potential resources that could help us.
Jeremiah Dicky, our guest here on Bronco Nation News, Boise State Athletic Director, news official about 3 hours ago. Boise State heading to the Pac-12 Conference in 2026. And I'm going to get into a couple nuts and bolts things here. I don't know, some you can say, maybe some you can't, but we'll throw it out there and see what we get. But what in terms of the exit fee, it's just kind of widely assumed that the Pac-12 is going to help pay for some or all of the Mountain West exit fee. What can you say about that?
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much on that, and we'll release more information at some point. But what I will say is I'm not overly concerned about it. Obviously going through a process like this, BJ, I've kept it extremely confidential. Very few people have known. Can't say enough about, our institution and the support they provided through this. And that was really helpful. But whatever we don't have, we're going to go out and get, and essentially I got 2 years to figure it out. And that does not mean that we haven't been working through what our various options are, because we always need more. Every institution in the country needs more. Every athletic department in the country needs more. And so that's been top of mind since I arrived. What's next and how are we going to best position ourselves? And as I say here today, yes, this is one step in this direction. There's 200 other, balls in the air that we're working on that are going to best position us to hit the ground running July 1st, 2026.
So the other four or the other three that joined with you, I mean, was this obviously, I mean, you didn't have, I guess, much say in that, yet, because you're trying to get in as well. So, I mean, how did that kind of work with the other schools and who that the Pac-12 initially wanted to get, and the four of you kind of working together? And how did that kind of work that you four ended up being the four?
Yeah, I think we're like-minded institutions, and I can't say enough about those athletic directors. Obviously, I've known some a lot longer than others, but getting to know them, as conversations were had, we all were very much aligned with what our industry is, what it's becoming, and how we need to position ourselves in the future. And that means continuing to invest, operating in an innovative way, and really embracing what something new could do. And so, I think there's data points, and when you look at our success and our traditions and history, and I think those, the four schools very much align. And I think that's what presented that opportunity.
Okay, the money, I know you're not going to probably get into specifics, but I mean, it would just be assume that this is a better financial situation for you guys than what you're in now. I mean, are we talking a significant? Is it just better? What can you say about what this is going to do financially for you guys? And in terms of a TV deal for this new Pac-12, I mean, a lot of people thought it was a big mistake when ESPN stopped carrying your guys' games. And I mean, is that what's your excitement level, or what have you been told, I guess, in terms of what media companies or channels or streaming or what's out there in terms of possibilities for this league, and how much of a better financial exposure, all that situation, is this going to be for you guys?
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. I mean, that excites me the most. Obviously, anything that's gonna positively impact us, I'm all in, and so I'm really looking forward to having those conversations and now being a part of the Pac-6 right now, and ultimately in the Pac-12, but the 6 schools. Those are conversations that we are having and will continue to have. We have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're not going to shy away from that. That's something that is important to me, and ultimately the long-term success of our institution. And so, that the whole media and everything, and any ancillary revenue opportunities like that excites me. When I think about the revenue in general, BJ, I understand who we are. I understand we're the lowest funded in our conference currently. But I also understand that I'm going to bet on us, and I'm going to bet on our team, and how we fundraise, and how we monetize, and how we sell tickets, and how we sell sponsorships. And we are going to do everything we possibly can. And in this case, I felt that it was worth, the reward was worth the risk. And, I'm not a magician. I can't guarantee you there's going to be a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. But what I will guarantee you is we will be better in making this decision than we were where we were at. And that's something that I'm bullish on. And any additional revenue for us, any additional resources is going right back into this program and the 18 sport programs that I'm fortunate to lead. And we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. And movement creates opportunity. And that excites me.
So what's the plan in terms of, is there a set number you guys would like to get to ultimately? Is it just getting to 8? Is it 9, 10? What's the goal? And what's the timeline you think on when other schools may be added?
Yeah, timeline to be determined. I know there's a lot going on right now, and ultimately there'll be more information at some point. But, at minimum, we know we need to get 2 other schools. And then at that point, I think it's going to be the will of the group. My preference versus what we ultimately do are probably 2 different things. But, is it 2 schools? Is it 3? Is it 4? We know what revenues that we need. And a lot of that will be determined based on some of these media rights conversations as well. So it's hard to say right now, but, if the right school presents itself and it's going to provide value and they're like-minded and very much aligned with what we all want to become, then I think that's an opportunity for us. And so we're going to continue to run out those ground balls. And, now it's not just, me or the Mountain West 4, it's going to be, the Pac-12 and really excited to see what comes.
Final couple of things for you real quick, and I appreciate your time. I got to get one in here, though. We got 20 people asking. I'm sure you can guess what one of the topics is, but they're adding, is there any, I guess, are any other sports that would have to be added or could potentially be added because of this? And obviously everybody points back to baseball. I guess just what teams, I don't even know what teams have baseball in this 6 or who you're adding, or are any other sports on the table in terms of joining this league?
I think I've said that publicly before. I would love to add back wrestling and baseball. I don't necessarily agree with how we got to the place of dropping sports. I'm not a fan of dropping sports. I don't see the value of dropping sports. And so, yeah, I would love to add them back because I know Bronco Nation specifically is excited, and was excited about baseball coming back. And I know we had a tremendous history in wrestling. So, yeah, adding sports is always on the table, but there's also a lot going on in our industry right now. We're navigating this house settlement. There's multiple lawsuits. I believe we're going to get to collective bargaining. I believe at the end of this decade, football is going to break away. There's Title IX implications. There's a lot going on. My goal is to fully fund our sport programs, the 18 that we represent, the 350 plus student athletes. And I would be doing everyone a disservice if I added another sport and more student athletes when we are grinding to get our head above water and fully invest into the programs that we do have. I believe every single program we have, which is why I keep saying 18 sports and 350 plus student athletes can be what football has become. And I think Leon and some sports are maybe a little bit further ahead, but my goal and our intent is to elevate every sport program that we currently have. And I think that will ultimately create opportunities in the future to add more.
So how do you navigate this for the next 22 months or whatever it is? And is there any chance sometimes this stuff speeds up a year just to make it an easier break for everybody? I don't know if there's any option that this could happen next summer instead of 2026, but in terms of the Mountain West and kind of staying partners for them till the contract is over and until you leave, and having to go on the road now to some of these hostile road venues that aren't going to probably treat you too nicely. Just what's your take on staying in the Mountain West here and finishing this out while looking ahead to the Pac-12?
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. I'm extremely empathetic. This is a relational business, and I have a lot of good relationships, with many of our athletic directors in the Mountain West currently and the conference office. I can't say enough about Gloria and the work that she's done and her team has done. And, and there's a part of me, BJ, that, I'm human. Like I feel bad, because I understand what those ADs woke up to. I understand what they're doing right now and the unknown and the uncomfortableness around it. And I don't wish that on anyone, but ultimately my job is to do what's in the best interest of this institution. And, and I'm going to continue to do that. It's not personal, it's business. and time will tell. But the next 22 months is going to be challenging, but we're going to be as professional as we possibly can be. And I would expect everyone else to be, just knowing their hearts and who they are. And who knows? I mean, we still, whether it's 2, 4, however many teams, there's still possibilities for many of them too. And I don't know what, I'm only concerned about what's next for us selfishly, but those ADs they're great ADs, and Gloria's an unbelievable leader, and they're going to figure out what their next steps are. And I wish them well. And obviously we're going to be in the conference, and I'm going to continue to sing its praises until we're not.
And I guess final thing, Jeremiah, and again, there's 2,300 and growing Boise State fans watching this show right now. We read your letter that you sent out to the BAA members and the ticket holders. We've seen your statement, but I guess just kind of your final message here to Boise State fans about this move and what it means. And people are asking about how this impacts the North End Zone project and ticket sales and all kinds of other stuff here. But just the floor is yours, I guess, to speak to Bronco Nation here in terms of any final message of this announcement that you want to get across.
First and foremost, BJ, 6 games, 6 sellouts. I'm going to take every opportunity to say that. Those are the expectations, and I expect 6 games, 6 sellouts. That helps us, and I know I've been very, very open and public about that. And so everyone watching, if you don't have your tickets, please get them, because it's important. I'm extremely excited for what this creates for us, and the opportunity. I mean, I said it earlier, movement creates opportunities, and we're not going to stop. We are going to continue to chop wood and best position this department and this institution and this community as the front porch of Idaho. And I think going to the Pac-12 allows us to do that, and it creates additional opportunities that we're very much going to take advantage of in terms of telling our story. My job is to continue to build on the brand that I'm so fortunate to have inherited, and I believe we've done that at a very high level. But we're out for epic. We are out for epic, and there are no guarantees in that. But all I can guarantee you is that Bronco Nation and this institution and our department is getting 100% of me, and I'm excited for what's next.
Hey, appreciate your time, Jeremiah. Thanks to Chris as well for helping set this up. We'll see you at the press conference in a little while, but congratulations, big day. And you were just warming up the show here for Mike Prater. We're going to go to him next, and I know you were just kind of helping build the audience for him. So I know he appreciates that. Ask
him, BJ, how my scheduling is now. See if I've gained anything on that front. He's on here, Prater.
When are you going to get Oregon State and Washington State on the schedule? When are you going to get those guys on the schedule? I ranted and raved yesterday, and snap, you made it happen. Nicely done.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Go Broncos.
There he is, Jeremiah Dicky, athletic director at Boise State. And we go from one Boise State legend to another here with Mike Prater for joining us.
I got an echo brewing here. So
let's see. Maybe mute your on your there you go. Perfect. You should have it now. Let's see. Nope. Now you're muted. Oh, there you go. Now you're good. We got you, Mike. Sorry about that. Mike Prater. Wow, big day. Sorry we're late getting to you. We were a little long there with Jeremiah. I'm supposed to have Brett McMurphy. I may see if I can push him back a little bit. But, Mike, we were talking last night. You've been covering this team in this town for a long time. Again, I know it was the announcement that maybe comes, 5, 6, 7, 8 years too late for some fans. But Boise State to the Pac-12, your thoughts?
I think it's fantastic news. And I understand it's funny. Everybody's saying and reminding us that this isn't the old Pac-12. Well, we've kind of known that for a long time, guys. I envision this kind of like a football coach. Do you want a football coach or even a basketball coach? Heck, let's not leave Leon out of this. If you play a game on a Saturday afternoon or Friday night, whatever, you're going to go out and you're going to be aggressive. You're going to attack. You're going to do everything you possibly can. You're going to be proactive, because you want to be the most relevant you can when you get to the last 10 seconds of a game. And this just reminds me of a football coach who's attacking, being aggressive. You don't play football games on the back of your heels. You don't play conference realignment on the back of your heels. You're proactive and you're aggressive, and that's exactly what's happened. So, the powers to be have spent the last, month, 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever timeline they had to put this sucker together, because they were aggressive, they were proactive. And yeah, thanks for the reminder, guys. The old Pac-12 is long gone and it's never coming back. But this is a major upgrade. Well, a significant upgrade for Boise State for a lot of reasons. Money, relevance, access, prestige, booster excitement. So I think it checks a lot of the boxes. It's not the rainbow at the end of the tunnel. I get that, but it's pretty darn close.
So what do you think? I mean, you say it's pretty darn close. I mean, Boise State, this reimagined Pac-12. And again, I think some judgment has to be held till we see what the final, list of teams is. And that's obviously going to be a big factor in this. But certainly this is a better opportunity than the Mountain West. You're getting rid of some of the lower level teams. And for now, trading them for Oregon State and Washington State. You'll see who they go out and get. But in terms of revenue, exposure, that having that brand and that logo on your field, just for Boise State, why do you think this is a good move?
Revenue, exposure, rivalries. I mean, give me Washington State and Oregon State on the schedule every single year. Are you kidding me? That's why I was criticizing Jeremiah yesterday. He's adding South Dakota, Appalachian State, Western Michigan. I get the responsibility of a balanced schedule, and he has built a balanced schedule for his football program. But at the same time, it's not creating anything regional. And now I get Oregon State, Washington in the schedule. I don't ever have to worry about going to Laramie again or Albuquerque or some of these other dead weights. Every football stadium that I walk into, that you walk into now, BJ, is going to be packed and it's going to be full. It's going to be exciting. This is, and somebody, it wasn't mine, somebody said, is this Pac-12 light or Mountain West plus? And I think that's a good analogy. It's not great. It's not going to be a Power Four. And by the way, all these labels are going away, guys. The Power Four, the A5, the Group of Five, the Group of Six, whatever, all that stuff is going away. And we're stuck and fascinated on labels. It's like genres of music. Why do we have to force and pigeonhole music into a genre? Just enjoy the music as it is without a label. We're label crazy in this country. So I don't think that's going to matter. Boise State, the Pac-6, the Pac-8, the Pac-9. What did Jeremiah say? We want to add 2, 3, 4 more teams, I think was the exact number he talked about. Yeah. So it's either going to be 8, 9, 10, whatever else it is, maybe with some basketball components that I know you would love, but they're going to be just fine. They're going to get access to the CFP. They're going to get access to more money that they've ever had before. They're going to have regional rivalries. They're not going to have to fly all over the place. And maybe the conference expands like a lot of these other conferences are expanding into different time zones. We'll see how it plays out. But as of today, I think it's a fantastic move. It doesn't give me the chance to play in the Rose Bowl. Let's go ahead and get that out of the table. But it certainly enhances Boise State's relevance, their ability to make money. And I don't care if it doesn't work out at all, because, again, going back to what I said, the aggressive attacking behavior that you want from a football coach. Just because he does that, it doesn't mean he's going to win the football game. But you know what? You appreciate the effort that your coach and your team put in. And today I appreciate the effort and the responsibility and the results that the Boise State Athletic Department put together in the last 6 weeks.
Now, San Diego State seemed like kind of a slam dunk given, but what do you make of Fresno State and Colorado State being the other two initially getting in?
Fresno State, I guess, just because they're kind of lurking. They're California. They're decent in football, decent in basketball. Yeah, Fresno State's fine. Colorado State, don't get me started. You're going to create a firestorm, and I'll get bugged by all the Colorado State fans. I've never understood the lore of Colorado State athletics, and I never will, and I'm not going to change. But everybody seems to want them when they bring up these expansion conversations. The Big 12 did, everybody else did, so why not throw them in there? So, I thought it was fine. I mean, the Logans and the Nevadas of the world are the Renos of the world are certainly going to attract the television executives, and I know there's a lot of curiosity about UNLV, BJ.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they just make too much sense here. We had Ross Dellinger on earlier in the show. He said, what if there was some situation where they couldn't take UNLV unless they took Nevada? And they said, no, thanks. I know sometimes the states are tied into the state schools like that. I know there was a thought, with the Oregon State, Washington State, they eventually did separate off. But you wonder if that played into it with Nevada saying, and the state board or whatever saying you can't take them unless you take Nevada. I don't know, but I just think Vegas makes too much sense to not be part of this when it's all said and done.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but let's think of it a little bit here. Let's dive deep into this a little bit. First of all, yeah, I mean, the UNLV Nevada situation is political. I don't think that there's anything written in stone that they have to be in the same conference. I kind of like it to Oregon State. when Oregon announced its intention to leave, or there was the rumors, there was a lot of political fighting in that state. Legislatures, Ducks, Beavers fighting behind podiums in suits. But at the end of the day, Oregon did what it had to do despite the political mess, but it got ugly. And yeah, that does exist in Nevada. I'm not sure if it's contractually tied into a piece of paper, but think about this for a minute. Maybe it never even got to that point. Maybe that's the plan B that kind of scares you off, but maybe it never even got to that point. These decisions, BJ, as you know, were always fueled by television executives, period. End of conversation. Television executives. Is UNLV going to deliver the Vegas market, a Vegas market that includes the NFL, the National Hockey League, Major League Baseball is coming. The WNBA is one of the hottest teams in that town. The NBA is coming to that town. That's 5 major professional sports franchises in the city of Las Vegas. So that makes UNLV number 6. They play in an NFL stadium that's half empty. Their basketball team is hot and cold. Their fan base doesn't really support them that much. They're not a hot ticket in the city of UNLV. The city of UNLV is not going to jump on the television sets and watch when UNLV's on TV. I think the television executives started this whole damn thing and said, they're not going to bring any value to the table, guys. Why would you even want to begin to bring UNLV into the picture in the first place, especially if you're going to have that political fight with Nevada Reno, and we have no interest in bringing Nevada Reno into the picture.
Hey, we have over 600 of you watching just on YouTube right now. I think we're at a YouTube record on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. I just told them they could get a look of Mike Prater in person, and they said, I got to tune in for this. If you can give us a like, we'd really appreciate it. Hit that like button in the corner of the screen. If you're not a current subscriber of our YouTube channel, it's easy. It's free. Just hit subscribe. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to the KTIK channels as well. They do daily video segments on KTIK and their channels. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're up to 641, it looks like, on YouTube right now. So appreciate that. And there's some notifications button you can turn on, and then you'll know when we go live for breaking news shows like this. Okay, Mike, if it's, we'll see on UNLV, but I mean, where else do they go from here? I think it's a pipe dream, likely not happening for the Cal Stanford. I know there's issues with them being in the same conference as Fresno with academics and all that. They obviously have the current deal for 10 more years with the ACC. I think that could change if the lawsuit happens with Florida State and Clemson, where they could potentially get out of that. But again, not sure they want to be in the same conference with Fresno and Boise State. I don't know. But I mean, Ross Dellinger said the only options are to go east. I mean, he talked about Memphis and Tulane and maybe even South Florida and maybe a Texas school like a North Texas or a Texas State that's kind of on the rise. Get into some bigger TV markets and go east and I mean, are you more apt to do that, Memphis, South Florida, or would you want, Utah State and New Mexico or Air Force? I mean, what if they have to add 2 somewhere? And again, I do agree, like Gonzaga, St. Mary's, potentially for all sports, non-football makes a lot of sense to get Gonzaga in the league for basketball, but you have to get to at least 8 for football. Where do you see them going at this point?
Not the Mountain West. The Mountain West, Boise. The Mountain West is done in terms of going to the Pac-12. They're not going to chase any more Mountain West schools. I don't think. That's just my opinion right now. If they thought that was available, they would go do it. And there's nobody in the Mountain West. If UNLV doesn't bring value to the Pac-12, then I don't think anybody else does as well. So let's just go ahead and kill that. And the question is, a lot of people are asking, what's next for the Mountain West? Well, the Mountain West doesn't have to do anything, guys. They got 8 leftovers. 8. That's perfectly fine to run a conference. And the Dakotas and the Montanas have no interest in FBS football. Those 4 schools make money and they love what they do. So get rid of the Montanas, get rid of the Dakotas, and maybe the Mountain West just stays, because those 8 schools aren't going anywhere. End of conversation, in my opinion. Let's focus, because I don't know the answer to your question, but let's focus on what we know for a fact. Jeremiah Dicky just said on this show just 20 minutes ago, 2, 3, or 4 teams. So they're going to go after 2, 3, or 4 teams. What have all the other conferences done? Even the big boys, the SEC, well, not the SECs, but the Big 10s and the Big 12s and the ACCs. What have they done when it comes to conference realignment? 4 time zones. And guess who's pushing this? Again, television executives. Why? Because of 4 time zones. So I don't know what that means. Schools in Texas, schools in Florida, Memphis, Tulane. It's all the same schools that everybody's mentioning because they're kind of high profile right now and certainly relevant. And they do bring product to the table. So we'll see how it plays out. I can't wait to see how it plays out. But I think they're going to go east, just like Dellinger said. They're going to try to get teams in 4 different time zones, again, because that's exactly what television executives want, and that's who's driving this conversation.
Yeah, I think Memphis makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're obviously one of the premier group of 5 teams. South Florida gets you into the Tampa market, gets you into Florida in the South for recruiting. I think that could make some sense. I'm not sure a North Texas or a Texas State really does a lot for me at this point.
UTSA, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe see Tulane, a little bit, but I mean, if you could just go get Memphis and South Florida, it just depends if they want more to balance it out, if they need more on the Central Eastern time zones than just the 2, because obviously those teams can only play so many home games, in that extra time slot there. But I think I think 9 is actually the perfect number, at least for football, because then you have 8 conference games and you play everybody one time, 4 home, 4 road. I mean, I think 9 makes a lot of sense. You heard Jeff Choate going crazy about the inequity in the football schedule right now, where you don't play like half the league. I would think 9 does make some sense from that standpoint. Then you could do the round robin with basketball as well, 18 conference games. But again, I think you're probably, at least I hope, looking to maybe go higher than the football schools if you're able to add Gonzaga or St. Mary or St. Mary's for the basketball side. But I don't know. I don't know how high they go here, but I there's just not a lot of other appeal out west. There's only so many schools here. I know the Pac-12 has said regional. We want to be this dominant West Coast league. Like, that's great, but there's only so many options out here to do that. And so getting into the other time zones, spreading it out a little bit. I know not ideal probably for a Boise State to have a South Florida in their conference, but I mean, if it gets you the TV windows and gets you the TV dollars, that's what they're going to do.
Exactly. And South Florida and Memphis are on Boise State's schedule. Don't forget, Boise State opens up at South Florida next year. If those are on the schedule, that means Jeremiah Dickey's already been talking to these athletic directors. He just said on your show that he's a relationship athletic director. He's in this business to build relationships, and he calls the South Florida athletic director to schedule a football game. That's the beginning of a relationship, and that's how these things work. And then you patch in the television executives, and then you start to have these kinds of conversations. Memphis, the same way, is on Boise State's schedule moving forward. So that makes an awful lot of sense. So yeah, it's not ideal in terms of geography, but I think we got rid of geography a long time ago, and that's no longer an issue. I just love the fact that Boise State, Oregon State, Washington State, and some of these traditional Mountain West powers, they can form some rivalries now. Boise State and Oregon State and Washington State is going to be the best rivalry that Boise State's had in a long, long time. And I think that that's really cool. So I'll just take that as it is, and I think the rest of it's going to work itself out, BJ.
How do you see this playing out in terms of what this means for revenue? People are bringing up the North End Zone project and other expansion things for Extra Mile Arena and just ticket sales and recruiting. Like, what all do you see as the benefits of this for Boise State?
Well, relevance, staying in the CFP chase, being the there's going to be, again, I'm going back to labels, and I just said no more labels, but there's the core 4, I guess is what you could say. And then there's the group of whatever you want to call them. And Boise State is clearly separated. I mean, Boise State and the Pac-12 6 have clearly separated themselves from every other group of 6 conference out there. So there's that gap. And I think that they've closed the gap. Boise State is closer now to the Big 4 than it was yesterday just by making this move. And it might only be an inch or 2, but they've closed the gap because of this move. How it's all going to play out, I mean, the financial and one thing back to your schedule. Yeah, nine teams is good, and the scheduling makes a lot of sense. But what if they only had 8 and they had to revenue share less, and then that gave you a chance to schedule a 5th non-conference game for a group of teams that are going to pay $111 million for this transaction? Money is going to be very important. And maybe if you pick up a couple $1 million in a guaranteed game, and because you now have a 5th non-conference, that's not the worst thing. So I'm just throwing that out there as a scenario in addition to the scenario you threw out there. The money's going to be a big play. These things always end up in court. They always have. The Florida State thing, the SEC thing, the Big Ten, these things always end up in court. And what the settlements are, I have no idea. I would imagine at the end of the day, they're not going to pay the $111 million. The Pac-12 is on they have to pay $43 million for the penalties. The other schools are paying their $17, $18 million for exit fees. All that stuff is going to probably end up in courts and be negotiated, and we'll see how it plays out. Boise State's going to be just fine. They're going to have as much access, if not more, to the CFP. They're going to have regional rivalries. They're going to have sellout stadiums. I love what Jeremiah said, like-minded. Washington State and Oregon State are like-minded as opposed to Laramie, New Mexico, some of this Air Force, BJ, you've been traveling in the Mountain West for 15 years. How many Saturdays have you spent in empty football stadiums?
Happens fairly often.
You're not going to do that anymore. For the most part, every football stadium you go to with this new setup moving forward is going to be packed with a rabid fan base, like-minded people. Let's associate ourselves with like-minded people, and I think that that's a win-win for Boise State today.
And I think part of there's a lot of questions. That's kind of my final question for you. But I do think the exit fee, I think the Pac-12 is going to pay for part of Boise State's exit fee. I mean, it sounded like you heard Jeremiah say they were comfortable with it. I mean, it didn't sound like they're going to pay all of it, but I would suspect part of the deal was we got all this cash sitting around. We'll pay half your fee, or we'll help you out some way to help make this happen. And that's why maybe a UNLV, maybe they do want them at some point, but they just say, you know what, UNLV is going to be so desperate, they'll pay it themselves. We don't need to bring them in right now in this first wave. I don't know, but I guess your final, like we're going to talk to Jeremiah at 1:30. You guys have him on. You have Spencer coming on your show 3 to 6 today. But what questions do you still have surrounding all this?
Yeah, I mean, the money thing, the exit fees, and all that other kind of stuff is certainly part of the deal. Teresa Gould, the Pac-2 commissioner, is on the record. The reports are out there. The quotes are out there. It even came up over the weekend in reporting in terms of Gloria Nevarez. The Pac-12 has set aside $65 million to rebuild its new league. That number is out there, and it's a quoted number. They only need $43 million to pay the penalties to the Mountain West. So what is that? Prater math on the year, $22 million left over. You can divide that up by 4 schools. So that takes out a little bit of money of the $17 million sting. Then you go to court and you battle for that and you pay, 60 cents on the dollar or whatever it is they decide in courts. Because again, these things always end up in court. That's certainly a possibility. Boise State's going to be fine financially. That's not going to be a worry. I want to know who the other 2 or 3 teams is. I want to know what the timeline is. You ask all the right questions, BJ, and Jeremiah Dicky wasn't ready to go there yet, but money, timeline, details about the other team. The rest of it, it's a no-brainer. It should be a day of celebration. Again, Boise State football has been dying for this day for 25 years. It came. It's a little bit ugly. I liked your analogy earlier in the show. Now I'm dating my high school sweetheart, and she's 38 years old or however she is. But you know what? She's still pretty damn hot, and I'm taking it because I just upgraded my life just a little bit more.
Well, we appreciate it, Prater. We'll see you at the press conference, and we'll be listening 3 to 6. You guys got JD on as well, and then you have Spencer Danielson as well. So appreciate you. We're going to get to Brett McMurphy here, but thanks for your time and jumping on a big show today, Prater. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Both shows today and tomorrow live on the Blue Turf. You're going to join us tomorrow in the 3 o'clock hour on the Blue Turf, right?
Yep, let's do it. Looking forward
to
it.
Bud.
All right, there you go. Today and tomorrow, they'll be live on the Blue Turf on KTIK. We're going to go right back to our guest line. Really appreciate Brett McMurphy making time for us. College football insider with the Action Network. He's all over the place. Best in the business when it comes to breaking news, and always kind enough to give us a few minutes here on Bronco Nation News in Boise. Brett, thank you so much for your time, and I guess we'll just get right to it. What are your thoughts on the Pac-12 adding these 4 schools?
Yeah, well, hey, Boise, welcome to Pac-12 After Dark. It's a regular occurrence. Crazy things happen after midnight. It's, I knew, eventually something had to happen with either the Pac-12 or the Mountain West, and certainly the Pac-12 has a great brand and brings a lot of value, keeping the conference together. And, this is big for Boise. Going forward, you still got to figure out who the next 2 to come on board are. But, the good news is you're in the Pac-12. The bad news is you're not a power conference. Doesn't mean you can't compete with everybody else. It just means you won't get as big a slice of the pie as far as the college football revenue.
Sure.
But certainly, you win the conference and you're more than likely going to be into the playoff as one of the 5 highest ranked conference champs. So I think it's stronger than the Mountain West, obviously from top to bottom. And then, I think it's imperative to see who else they can bring on to complete the minimum 8 teams they have. Do they possibly go to 10? I would guess they probably don't. I think they keep it at 8. You don't want to slice the pie up into smaller pieces. There's not really any schools out there that they could get that would bring a lot more value to demand that you go from 8 to 10. But yeah, it's great for Boise. And, I'm excited to see what they do there with Colorado State. And Fresno and San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's somebody said, yeah, it's kind of like you finally get the date with your high school sweetheart, but now she's 65 years old. I mean, it's not the same Pac-12 as it once was, and Boise State fans were hoping to get this headline, 10 years ago. But what do you make of just them making this jump? And you said it's a great move for Boise. Like, what is possible for a Boise State in terms of additional revenue, what it does for recruiting, exposure with the TV deal? I mean, I know a lot is still relying on what happens and what other teams they get, but how much better do you see this league being for a Boise State than what the situation they were in the Mountain West?
Well, certainly, it's I think what's critical is to see what happens in the Pac-12's media rights deal going forward. And I guess, because of the way that the Pac-12 is structured, they will now, not because of adding these new members, but just where they are on the calendar, they jump in front of the Mountain West as far as the kind of the next conference to negotiate. So that gives them an opportunity to go to an ESPN, to go to a Fox. Obviously the CW has been involved. So the more, like any business, the more people you have involved, the more leverage you have, the more value you can get out of that. And certainly, again, and this necessarily is not fair to the teams left behind in the Mountain West, but it's a fact of life. The Pac-12 name is going to bring more value than the Mountain West name, even if you had the same schools in either league. So that brings value too. You also have the, kind of going down a rabbit hole. You have the whatever assets you have left over from the Pac-12 network as far as studios and different things like that maybe you didn't have in the Mountain West. So financially, look, that's a great line. You finally get to date your high school sweetheart, but she's 65. You're not going to be making money like you would in the Big 12 or the ACC. You're not going to be making money like you would have in the Pac-12 even 3 or 4 years ago. But you should be making more money than you did in the Mountain West. It's not going to be, a giant pot of gold. It will be a little bit more. Is a little bit more 1 million a year? Is it 4 million a year? Is it 5 million a year? That's to be determined, but it's not going to be less than what they were making in the Mountain West. And again, it's weird to talk about travel, but maybe this, no longer having to go out to Hawaii, although I'd never view that as a negative, but not going out to Hawaii may cut down on some travel cost. And with the smaller league, maybe not as much travel cost. Again, kind of one offshoot to this is kind of what the everybody in the Mountain West experienced this year. If they do settle on 8, which I expect them to, you've got to find 5 non-conference games, and that's not always easy. Will the remaining Mountain West teams will they want to play the teams that left them behind? Who knows?
Yeah.
Will the Mountain West could pass a bylaw that you can't schedule them anymore? Who knows? I mean, but the way these conferences, especially the power leagues, are, we're up to 9 conference games in some leagues. There aren't a lot of opportunities to play non-conference games, especially for all you guys on the left side of the United States. So that obviously is going to be challenging to find that 5th non-conference game, moving forward. But still, again, I think everything's a net positive for Boise and the other 3 newcomers.
So who are the 2 going to be? I mean, I know there's a lot of possibilities. I know a lot of people on this show are wondering why UNLV wasn't part of this first group, or why they're not, maybe going to be in the mix. There's a lot of talk about going east with whether it's Memphis or South Florida or Tulane or a Texas school. Like, I mean, they talk about wanting to be regional, want to be this dominant West Coast conference, and then maybe they're going to go add, a school in Tampa but when it comes to TV markets and what comes with that, with the ESPN or whoever, I'm sure spreading it out with multiple TV windows would help. But what do you make about the teams in the mix for the final 2 spots?
I live in Tampa. USF is not going to be in the Pac-12. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. If they are, have me back on and throw tomatoes at me. Look, here's the deal. Obviously Oregon State and Washington State drove this on who they wanted to bring in. Obviously, they could not come to a consensus on teams 7 and 8. So that's something they got to figure out. I would think, again, I'm halfway across the country or all the way across the country. I would think UNLV would be at the top of the list. For whatever reason, they were not. And now all 6 members, obviously they're all members of the conference. They will vote and decide this together. You know, I think what the 2 schools they will look to bring on is who are the one, it's got to be solid football programs. So any football programs that are historically 2-10 every year, and I'm not calling anybody out, but the reality is your chances are slim and none. And also, as far as TV market, I think that's important, but I don't think that's critical because, you know, you can say, well, I'll use Tampa as an example. Tampa's the number 12 TV market in the country. Well, USF does not bring in the 12th best TV ratings in the country because USF does not have the following that other schools do. Same with San Diego State, top 10 market.
Sure.
San Diego State does not bring in. So it's not simply going to say, well, we need to go get this school because they're in the biggest market. It doesn't work that way. Same with SMU. So that's a great question. And obviously they couldn't decide on who 7 and 8 would be, or they would have already brought them on. Do they look at, you mentioned teams from the American. Do they look at a Tulane? Do they look at a Memphis perhaps? I just think USF's too far out there. USF wants to end up in the ACC somehow, some way. If they went to the Pac-12, it would only be until they got an invite to go to the ACC. I just don't see that happening. Do they perhaps take a chance on you want a competitive football program? Do they take a chance at a North Dakota State or South Dakota State? I mean, I think anything's possible. I think Air Force is attractive also because of their national following. I think Air Force will be attractive to the American. I think they'd be attractive to the Pac-12. But bottom line is, though, they couldn't come to an agreement on who team 7 and 8 would be, or they would have already invited them. So I think it's going to take a while for them to kind of get together and figure out what works best for their conference. But I really believe right now that they don't know who 7 and 8 will be, or they would have made the announcement overnight last night when they added the other 4.
So what happens to the Mountain West? I mean, a lot of good fan bases there, and Gloria Navarez has done a great job at commissioner. But if you're a fan or a student athlete or a coach or whoever, a supporter, a booster of one of the other schools that were not part of this announcement today, whether you're in Reno or Laramie, Wyoming, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, like what do you say to those guys, and what happens to the Mountain West here?
Well, you've got to hope that the Pac-12 doesn't take any more from the Mountain West, because if it does, then the Mountain West drops below 8, and then they've got to go find some more additions. Obviously, they would probably look to maybe they look at a North Dakota State or South Dakota State or Montana, or maybe Idaho comes back to FBS. I'm sure they're going to look at there's some schools in Texas in the Sun Belt and in Conference USA that would make a lot of sense. So they'll be fine. I mean, look, I absolutely hate what college realignment has done to college athletics. I hate it. It's the worst thing that's happened. It's going to destroy college athletics if it hasn't already. But the reality of it is, you've got the Big Ten and the SEC. It's like a totem pole. They're at the top, and at the very bottom is Conference USA. And then everybody, you know how they're stacked. And if a conference that's above you gives you an invitation, you take it and you move on up. And that's basically how it keeps going. So the Mountain West will, look for some teams and conferences, below them, Sun Belt, Conference USA. Obviously the MAC, that wouldn't make sense. Or you look at the FCS. But basically, I don't think the MAC's going to, disintegrate and go away, kind of like the Pac-12 did when they lost 10 of their 12 members. Because I don't think all those schools have anywhere to go. The American's not suddenly going to want to go out and add 4 members or 6 members. Conference USA doesn't want to do that. I mean, I get one possibility, and look, everything we're discussing, and I'm sure everything your callers have brought up, is being discussed by everybody. They're looking at every different situation they can think of to see what makes the most sense. Maybe there's some kind of is there some kind of merger with the Mountain West and the American, where they kind of have the Eastern and Western divisions, and they kind of do that. Again, these are all great ideas, but surprise, it all boils down to what makes the most sense financially, and ultimately what makes the most sense financially is what these conferences will end up doing. So I think the Mountain West will be okay. Obviously, they're gonna have to wait and see if they're gonna lose any more, or if they're gonna keep the remaining 8.
Well, obviously a big day here in Boise, Brett. I know you're busy. We appreciate your time. People are fired up here, and we appreciate you jumping on, giving us your insight. And we'll be following your Twitter feed when the next news breaks, because you'll probably be breaking it. So we appreciate you jumping on, Brett, and we'll enjoy Tampa and the nice weather down there. And Boise State's opening at South Florida next year, by the way. Season opener is already set. Boise State at South Florida. So we will talk to you soon, Brett. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, I look forward to that Pac-12 logo on the blue.
Can't wait. It's going to be awesome, Brett. Appreciate it. There he is, Brett McMurphy. Appreciate him for jumping on. And yeah, that is going to be a very weird sight at some point. The blue turf with the Pac-12 logo on it. How about that? Hey, we just pushed past 2 hours live broadcast here on Bronco Nation News. 2 hours and counting. It would not be possible without all of our great sponsors here. So here's 30 seconds, a quick reminder of our sponsors. We're back in 30 seconds.
Bronco Nation News is presented by ROPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.
You know, I actually have flirted with the idea of taking calls. He says, what's the hotline number? Right now, it's just my cell phone. We are tied up through some technology here that we can bring these calls in through the mixer here and through my cell phone. I have thought about getting another number, but that may open up too many issues on the post-game show and things with folks enjoying beverages and not being able to screen calls and things. I don't know if that's ultimately the best idea. Probably maybe sticking to the YouTube comments is the best way to go about it, but I have thought about it. I have flirted with the idea in the past of, bringing on callers and things, and maybe this is would have been a good situation to have. But no, the BSU pimp, don't be sharing my number. Keep that private there. But no, we figured it out today. Ross Dellinger and Brett McMurphy could not come on video, so we were able to hook it out to do it live. So no, anyone that has my phone number, do not give it out. Please, I would appreciate that. But 2+ hours. Again, go subscribe if you can. BroncoNationNews.com. Mike Prater is going to have a column. I'll have a column. All kinds of content coming. We're going to live stream if we can. Come back at 1:30. We're going to try to live stream the Jeremiah Dicky press conference at 1:30 this afternoon here on Bronco Nation News. Callers must be paying subscribers. I do kind of like that one, actually. You give us some money, and maybe we can figure out a way to take your call. I actually kind of like that there. So we maybe in the future we can see what the options there are that. But again, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you can afford $50 for a yearly subscription to Bronco Nation News, you want all the Pac-12 coverage moving forward? Yeah, you want to follow a Pac-12 team? Well, let's have your $50 if you can afford it. BroncoNationNews.com. BNN 50 deal is the promo code. And again, if you can help us out, $50, you can read Mike Prater's column and his thoughts coming later today on the Pac-12. My thoughts, all the coverage moving forward as they make the transition into the Pac-12. It's going to be behind the paywall. As I told you guys before, the Portland State game, we're going, all in on the paid subscribers for the show here. So, you know what? It costs money to put these shows on, to have Mike Prater on, to have John Mallory, Jay Tust, to go to Hawaii in a couple of weeks to cover the game, to go to Georgia Southern. you're watching a free show on YouTube right now. So I know some of you love to complain when I ask about, buying a subscription or the 5-second YouTube ad that you have to do. And yes, Ray, I would like your money. This is a free show that you're watching here. So we got to pay all of our show hosts. We pay Riley Smith and all the guys that come on and do shows. And again, the travel expenses when you're watching live post-game interviews and video of Spencer Danielson and Eugene on the post-game show, that costs money to make that happen. So please support us if you can. Go support the sponsors. Use the sponsors. We would appreciate that. And again, if you're able to help us out with a subscription, $6.99 a month, $50 for a full year, a one-time fee, we'd love to have you, and we'll hope to make it worth it to you with plenty of coverage. And as I said, the Portland State pregame and postgame shows are only going to be for paying subscribers. So you want to get the pregame and the postgame shows for Portland State. Kent Riddle, Brad Bedell, they'll be on the postgame show having a couple cold ones. It's going to be a fun time, but you got to be a paid subscriber to see the pre and postgame shows for the Portland State game. So jump on in and help us out if you can. And we're looking forward to an awesome time of transition here over the next couple of years at Bronco Nation News as Boise State continues to move into the Pac-12 and what that means and everything else. So some of the best BSU coverage access we've had worth a subscription. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you saying that. But 2 hours plus live show in the books. We got 2,600 of you. Really appreciate all you guys. And again, before you get out of here, hit that like button. I think it's on this side, the little thumbs up like button on YouTube. Hit that. Help us out. Subscribe on YouTube if you can. And again, if you're able to do a subscription to our website and help us out in some of the content you'll get there, we would appreciate that there as well. So full coverage coming to BroncoNationNews.com. And then again, 1:30, we're going to try to stream the press conference with Jeremiah Dicky live down at Boise State. So come on back at 1:30 for that. Have a great rest of your day. Again, listen 3 to 6. Johnny and Prater have JD on. They have Spencer Danielson on as well. So 3 to 6. They'll have full coverage for you. And then tomorrow morning, Jay Tust and I will continue this. We're hoping to get Pat 40 on tomorrow, maybe from Yahoo and some other national folks to get their perspective as well. So thank you to Ross Dellinger. He broke the story for Yahoo last night. He came on earlier. You can go back and watch it if you missed that interview. Thanks to John Mallory, Jeremiah Dicky, Mike Prater, Brett McMurphy, 5 guests on the show today. We appreciate them. We appreciate you guys for all your comments. If I didn't get to one of your comments or questions, I apologize. We had record comments coming in, moving here, but wanted to give you a special show today. It's a historic day. It's a big day. Congratulations to all of you Boise State fans that are watching. I know you've been wanting a day like this for a long time, so enjoy it. Congratulations, and we wanted to try to give you a show worthy of that this morning. So as we push back 2 hours here. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll try to stream the press conference at 1:30. Again, go subscribe if you can. BroncoNationNews.com, BNN 50 deals. That promo code gets you $50 one-time payment for a full year subscription to Bronco Nation News. And as I said, the YouTube channel here is free. You can subscribe to that just by clicking that subscribe button, and that's free as well. So thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy it. Again, we'll be back 9 a.m. tomorrow with Jay Tust. Make sure you're listening to Johnny and to Prater at 3 o'clock, and we'll stream that press conference with Jeremiah Dicky at 1:30. Boise State heading to the Pac-12 in 2026, a historic day, and you heard all about it right here. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.